So here I am in my dev environment, and I'm just going to install the plugins to set up my site. If you are working with a site that doesn't require loading queries like news listings, you don't have to go with Elementor Pro, but for this tutorial we will be using Pro. I will install the Elementor website builder, and I also want to use Elementor header and footer builder. So this is when I want to not just have a custom built header, but also a footer or any blocks that are repeated across pages. And generally it's good to have some security. I think a very basic one is Wordpress. I also use iThemes security. Just kind of have two plugins to support each other, and I also use the hide backend feature of this plugin, and I will talk about that. So first, let's activate these. For Akismet, it's useful to minimize spam to your inbox, whatever email address you put on the site. However, you will need a key for that, and you will need to register. For now, I'm just going to activate the ones I've installed. And yes, I will enter a webmaster email. And no, I don't want any email alerts. No thanks. Also, if you want to turn off email settings, you can go to email alert preferences and just uncheck everything. To minimize your notifications, you can just check the dashboard when you log in to see how things are. And then for the security, can I just go next? Yep. Continue with default. Okay. Yep, let's go with recommended. Settings they walk you through. Secure the site, and then let me just search for it. Hide the backend, and then so what this does is usually I'm going to open a private browser when there's like attacks to a site, a WordPress site. They try to access something like wp-login.php or wp-admin, and then it will take you to it will redirect you to here, the login page, the default login page. However, because I'm hiding the backend, it's now redirecting me to a 404 and nothing is found. So I would have to enter the specific address that I used, that I defined here, the login slug, and then use that. And now I can access the login page. So that's the function of this. And I generally like to use this so that the WP login PHP is not easily accessible. So now let's go into our Elementor settings. Right now, not using Pro, just the regular one. So what I want to talk about is if I go into my templates, there's actually this kit. There's this kit library where you can choose predefined kit. Generally, I don't use that. If you go into your templates and you click all, you will be able to see the default kit. And what this default kit is, it's predefined colors, fonts, and the layout and things. If you're using a theme that has also definitions for fonts and colors, then you don't want this conflict between the Elementor themes and fonts and colors to mess with your theme. fonts and colors. So in that case, you would check these settings under Elementor settings to disable the default colors and fonts. I usually do that. However, in the default kit, there are still some things that Elementor uses over your theme. So it's a bit unclear to me when Elementor pulls from the default kit and when it's pulling from the theme. So generally, for colors, I unset them, and also fonts, I unset them and then define them in the theme. However, if your theme doesn't have that, if you're using like a very base theme that doesn't have those options, then you can define them here. But yeah, the grid, the layout, the container, the max container width, you can set it here. Otherwise, the default is 1140. And this widget spacing is, if you're in a column, if you're familiar with Elementor, there's a section and then there's a column, and then you add widgets to the column, and this widget spacing refers to the space between the widgets in a column. So if you have like 5 widgets in one column, they will by default have this 20 pixel spacing in between them. So just note that there's extra spacing that can be set here, or you can set it to 0. Just leave that, and you can define your breakpoints or note what they are. Elementor's breaking, its tablet is between 768 and 1023. So you can note that if you want to use custom CSS and specify breakpoints. This is what they are. One more thing I want to mention about this. So I'm going to check not to use the default colors and fonts. Save that. One more thing is is it advanced? Yes, advanced. So yeah, if this is set to no, sometimes you get a case where the icon font is not loaded, and then yeah, this has come up. Some people have asked me why some icon is not appearing, and I found that it is because of this setting. So I just did a fresh install, and it seems like they have set it to yes by default, so that's cool. And one other thing I want to note is the CSS print method. I ran into an issue where I was using a CDN service, and I was seeing differences where I was updating the page and the CSS was not applying until I load the page in a private browser. So this was a little bit confusing because it seemed like my change wasn't there, but it was there, or something's not working. So it seems like this is set to internal embedding, so that means it's loading the CSS inline in the markup, which means it doesn't cache it. So when you get external files, it's like linking to another CSS file, and usually those get cached by the browser, and there's that issue of caching. So it seems like by default it's internal embedding, and this is loaded, so that looks okay. If you don't want to load the markup, the CSS in the markup, then you can use external file. So yeah, I just wanted to mention about the disabling these, and also your style kit.